Good evening. My name is Noah Herndon, and this is the Groundview. Today I had the opportunity to interview the presidential ticket of Jediah Baker and Isabella Goodrich. We had the opportunity to discuss their message of the narrow way and talk about how their experience running for national representative last year has benefited them moving into this year. I hope you enjoy this segment on the Groundview. Good afternoon, y'all. It's so good to have you here on the Ground View. We're very excited to be able to have you here, to be able to have the opportunity to get to know you, and to give y'all the opportunity to kind of speak to the Team Pack student body. So if y'all wouldn't mind just introducing yourselves to the viewing audience, Jediah, you can go ahead and start off.
Hey y'all, I'm Jediah Baker and I'm from Port Huron, Michigan. And I'm excited to be here today and just to have this opportunity to run with my good friend Isabella Goodrich for National President and Vice President at NatCon.
Awesome. My name is Isabella Goodrich and I'm from Reno, Nevada. I will be running as the vice president for this ticket, and I'm even more excited than Jediah is. I'm just kidding. But I am super excited for this too. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. Now, of course, y'all are running for president and vice president of Team Pack. So if y'all wouldn't mind just describing how y'all got into Team Pack, what your story in Team Pack has kind of been. Bella, we can start off with you and then go to Jediah. And just to clarify, Bella, or Isabella, do you prefer Isabella or Bella? Is there a preference there?
Either or. I'm running by Isabella, but a lot of people do call me Bella, so I don't mind either.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead and start.
Awesome. So I started in 2018. I just attended the PCW and I was like on the verge of being 13. So it was all like so new to me. And honestly, it was kind of rough jumping into that PCW. I was terrified of public speaking. And during that time, they had something called, I think it was like a crossfire debate type of thing. And during that time, someone like asked if I would like to do it. And I didn't want to say no. So I just went up there. And let me tell you, it was a train wreck. Like I messed up so much and I could not like get any words out. And so I left that day feeling like almost mortified, but like it was okay. It was a growing experience, but I was like, man, this Team Pack thing, I don't think is for me. And the thing is, my brother had done the 4-day class. And so he talked me into doing it next year, the year after in 2019. And I did attend. I was like, all right, I'll try it out, see how it works. And I absolutely loved it. I didn't realize how much my life would be changed through that 4-day class. And I just wanted to keep doing it. I wanted to come back every year after that. 2020, I was canceled right before COVID. So just like a couple days before the state class. So that was a bummer, but it ended up being good. You know, God has had a plan through all of that. And then I came back in 2021 as an alumni, and then the following year as a state staff. And then this year I got to travel staff. So I've just seen so much personal growth in myself through the years. And Team Pack's just such a huge part of my life now. And I'm so thankful for it.
Absolutely. No, that's incredible to hear. Jediah, if you wouldn't mind explaining your story.
Oh, definitely. I would love to. So I started out in Team Pack in 2020, actually. And it was such a blessing from God that I was even able to attend our state class, because our state class was, in fact, like a week before the lockdowns and everything. So just God's perfect timing. Went into my first event not knowing anything about Team Pact. I knew no one who had gone before. And my mom was like, I signed you up and you're going to go to this, I don't know.
Jediah, you are muted. Yeah, it says that you are muted right now.
Hello?
There you go. Yep, you're back now.
Do you want me to start over?
Yeah, you were just talking about your mom telling you you were going to go and you didn't know anyone.
All right. And so ended up going, and let me tell you, it was so impactful for me. The Lord used Team Pact in my life to not only inspire me to strengthen my walk with Him, but to also open myself up to ministry and just to learn so much and to let God work even more in my life. Because Team Pact showed me that we as youth had an impact and that we could use our leadership outside of just Team Pact and outside of our family, but we can use it in our churches, on our homeschool groups. And it truly impacted me. And so ever since that point, I've wanted to be a part of anything and everything Teen Pact. And so went back the following year as a alumni student. And then in 22, I was a state staffer. And this year I had the honor and privilege to travel staff. And let me just tell you, this season has been so wonderful. I've seen God work in so many ways. And day by day, I just thank him so much for this ministry of Teen Pact and how it has changed my life.
Now, Teen Pact, of course, inspires several incredible experiences throughout, whether it's just attending as a first-time student or even travel staffing. So could I ask, do either of y'all have like one event or one particular experience in Teen Pact that just kind of stands out that you'd be willing to share? Whichever one has y'all first, you can go and just share that.
I could go. So it was actually the most memorable experience that I had at Teen Pact. There's been many of them, but during this year at the Nevada State class, it was Thursday night, and we were wrapping up coffee house, and then we decided to have a little worship time just to see what the Lord would do with that. We didn't have any expectations with it, but we just thought it would be cool to just gather around the piano and just sing worship songs. And it turned out to be like a whole revival. Everywhere I looked, people were praying, and like, you've never seen such genuine worship. Like I don't see as genuine worship as that. Like, people were on their knees, people were walking around the room. Like, there was no expected position to worship. Like, everyone just was able to do whatever they wanted, and like people were praying with each other, and it was just really cool to see how the Lord was working in everyone's lives that night. And in Rendezvous after that, so many people opened up and talked about their testimonies and how the Lord was working in them. And whenever I think of one memory that has changed my life the most through Teen Pact, it would be that one.
That's such a good answer, Bella. So many experiences, but if I had to think of one, I can think of one very impactful experience was actually at the beginning of this season. I was on the Texas class, and Texas is such a fun state, super great class, highly recommend it. But I was on the class, and while I was there, it was just a very long week. And at certain points in time, like sometimes you get kind of weak, and you just need the Lord's strength and encouragement from him. And I was going to bed one night, just very tired, and just praying. I asked God, Lord, I need some encouragement. I need your strength to press on. And I woke up the next morning to get ready to go. And on my shelf, there was a note. And it wasn't no like sticky note. It was a full page letter from one of the students, just giving me encouragement in scripture. And that was so impactful. Like, I wouldn't have expected God to answer that prayer in that way. And so I saw that, and I was like, wow, God, wow, how he answered my prayer in the matter of a couple of hours. And so that just showed me that the Lord was there and that he was moving. And then the next night I went to bed and I woke up again, and he wrote me another letter. And just those instances, seeing how like God used those people to impact me and to pour into my life and encourage me, just made such a difference. And I can tell you, it was such a God moment and just something that impacted me so much. And even to this day, I will look back at those letters and just see God's hand working on that class.
No, that is just amazing to hear that student, an answer to prayer coming from an unlikely source. And that's what Teen Pact can do, is that you provide those experiences that you could just never expect. Now, moving forward towards kind of the election side of things, could y'all just explain how y'all decided to run? What was the beginning point of that, or the inspiration? Whichever of y'all would like to start.
So I'll take the bull by the horns on this question. So ran for office last year and had the wonderful opportunity and experience, and I enjoyed it. Just getting to see, just to learn the elections process and just to see God work throughout the entire season. And so going into this new year, I prayed a lot and asked the Lord what his plans were for me. And so I kept praying, and the Lord kept bringing me back to the thought of running. And so I didn't want to push that off. And so I was like, Lord, if you want me to run, you will direct my steps and you will guide my path. And so as I was doing that, I kept praying. I was like, if you want me to run, who do you want me to run with? and kept praying and asking the Lord. And one name that kept coming back into mind was Bella. I've known her for 2 years, really good friend of mine. And so I was like, Lord, is this really what you want me to do? And he said yes. And so I think it was actually in December, I texted Bella out of the blue, and I was like, Bella, so what do you think about running? And I kind of told her like the whole process of me praying about running and just like coming and seeing that the Lord was drawing me to run with her. And she responded to me and said she would think and pray about it. And then, Bella, do you want to tell the rest of the story from this point on?
He's never gonna let me live it down, but I totally like ghosted him for like 3 weeks. And it wasn't intentionally ghosting him, but I was doing just like a lot of prayer and a lot of thinking. But I realize now after talking to him that it probably wasn't like it's probably hard for him having to wait for so long without a word from me. So that was my bad, but yeah, I technically ghosted him for 3 weeks. And my side of it is last year I also had the opportunity to run for representative, and I loved every opportunity, everything that was a part of running, the campaigning process, the actual elections at NatCon. And so I grew as a person. I met so many amazing people, but also we talk a lot about our messages. And the way that that impacted me specifically was that after I shared my message, whether it was like on GroupMe, Instagram, or on stage, I had multiple people come up to me and share their personal testimonies with my message in mind. And it really just shifted my view of the message, and it changed my life hearing their perspectives of my message. And so that I just wanted to experience that again and to be able to hopefully encourage and impact people in that way, but also be encouraged by other people through it. And so that summer after running, I really just wanted to do it again. I thought it would be so cool to do it again. Like if I had the opportunity and if it was waiting for me, why not take it? However, when we came to the winter time, it was nearing staff training. I was a little more unsure. I wasn't sure if like my motives behind it. I wanted to keep my motives in check before I decided to commit to anything. And so when Jedi asked me, I had already thought about running with him, and I thought that'd be really fun, but I needed to take some time to just pray about it and to make sure that this is truly something from God and not from myself, and just keep my motives in check through the prayer and through reading God's word. And eventually I knew after talking to a lot of my family members and friends about it and reading God's word about it and just praying a lot. And I decided that it would be something that would be super beneficial in my personal life and hopefully in other people's lives if we both ran together. So yeah, that was how I chose to run with Jediah.
Yeah. And so like we talked about that, and like Bella ended up getting back with me because we are here now, everyone. But when we talked about running, before we actually officially decided on running, we said if we run, we have to have a message that's going to be the focal point of not only our campaign, but in everything we do. And so, like most importantly, that would be to give all glory to God in everything we do. And so with that, we decided that we were going to run with a message that is going to be our main priority. And so we love the campaign aspect, both Bella and I do. It's a fun process, a lot of excitement and energy, and just getting to know people, which if you know me, I'm a people person. But we wanted our message to be our focal point. And so like before we decided on anything, we were like, if we run, we have to have a message that we feel the Lord is drawing us to and to share with the TPAC Nation. And so it's been a great process, and I'm so excited that we're here and just to run together. So yeah.
No, that's incredible to hear, and getting that, coming into it with the right mindset of that message that you're wanting to share with the TPAC Nation that's been focused on God is absolutely important. And, without further ado, I, of course, don't know. And as of right now, of us recording, I haven't posted it. I know that you're supposed to post it after. So if you wouldn't mind me asking, could y'all just go ahead and describe what your message is for this upcoming election?
Yeah, so I'll start by explaining how we chose our message. So after we decided to run, like Jediah said, we were going to come up with our message first and base everything else off of that. And coming up with a message just like right off the bat, that's kind of hard to do. So the way that we were able to come up with a message was talk about we talked about what God was teaching us in our personal lives. So we just talked about some things that he had been teaching us and showing us. And something that was really prevalent in both of our lives, and God had been teaching both of us, was this idea of like a lukewarm Christian, or like seeing churches and seeing how often you hear this idea of like come as you are, but they forget to mention like that you are transformed. So it's like come as you are, let me tell you about God's love, and then now you can stay as you are. Like that's often what a lot of lukewarm Christians believe, but it's actually a transformation process. And so as we're talking, we realized that that's what we wanted to focus on. We wanted a message that would be convicting and that would cause you to look at your own life and assess it and see if you are truly walking the path that God has called you to walk. And so that's how we ultimately chose to do it. We had the same message in mind, but figuring out the title for the message was kind of a little more tricky. We had a couple different ideas, but we just prayed about it and talked more about it, and we were able to come up with the narrow way. And Jedi, would you like to explain what the narrow way means?
Yes. So the narrow way is based off of the verse in Matthew 7, which like states about how like broad is the way that leads to destruction and narrow is the way that leads to life. And we were talking about like how in our everyday lives we have so many different decisions to choose the right path or to choose the flesh, to choose ourselves. And so when Bella and I thought about this, we were like, we need to challenge the Teen Pack Nation and the church in general to realize we are called to a higher standard. As Christians, we are called to not be in this world, but not of this world, to look differently, to shine for Christ. And some like areas like I've seen, like we as Christians, we can say we love God, we go to church and we live out the Christian walk. But is that evident like to the world around us? What are we listening to? What's on our Spotify playlist? What are the shows we're watching on TV? What do we do, or what do we say in our conversations with our friends? Are we acting in integrity, and are we living out the Christian walk? And so those were the thoughts that we had going into this message, of realizing that as Christians, we're called to a different standard. And sometimes we as believers, or the church in general, has lacked in those areas. And we believe that this is a time and the message that we're going to bring forth that God has given us, just to challenge people to walk the way that God has placed before them, and to realize that even though it is dark and that the world is hard at times, that we are called to be lights in this darkness. And it's so easy. Like I love it in the scripture verse where it says, you don't take a lamp and you don't put it under a basket, or you don't hide it. You shine it for all around to see. And so that's our vision for this message, and just to bring what the Father has shown us to the Teen Pack Nation.
That's incredible to hear. I really do appreciate y'all being able to share that with me. I'm really looking forward to your full message drop, which is supposed to come later today, as of posting to, yesterday though. And so, with this message, have there been any ways where you've seen, the narrow way as a message kind of interact with your life, where you've seen it play out in some form of experience, either of y'all?
Yeah, for me, so I talked a little bit about how something we were both seeing is like we would like to see the churches do a better job in talking about how we are to live different lives than our old lives. Like we're a new creation when we become a Christian. And I have visited some churches over the past couple weeks, and honestly, that's what I've been seeing in a lot of them, is that idea of like, it's just surface level Christianity. And so that's where I've seen where I wanted to improve. But also it's come up in a lot of conversations with either non-Christians or Christians. Often I hear like a lot of non-Christians, either they'll say something like, there's something different about you. Like, why are you always so joyful? What is it that makes you different? It could be like that. Or when they're talking about some other Christians, maybe that they didn't know was a Christian. They're like, wait, you're a Christian? I didn't know that. And just like little things like that I hear from like non-Christians, or even Christians saying it to other Christians. It just shows me that like this message is what we need. And we need to like assess our lives in that way. So I've been seeing it just through little conversations with people around me and through the churches that I've been visiting recently.
Definitely.
So one thing like that I've seen, especially like in myself and in other believers around myself, and like in everyday life, is when you ask the Lord to show you something or help you to grow in an area, he definitely brings it on like exponentially, where like he makes it the situation more available for you to grow. And so even in my life personally, I've seen different ways where now that like Bella and I are running with this message and we're making this our focus of our campaign, and I've seen like different ways where like the Lord's been showing me in my personal life for ways that I need to look more like him and to conform my life to his word and to his path. And so it's been so I don't know, revealing. I would use that as my word, to see how even in our lives as Christians, we can think we are in everything we're doing, we're trying to give glory to Christ and to live the walk of a believer. But in every aspect of everything we do, there's ways we can grow. And so it's almost like God's been like bringing a spotlight into my life, even more, if that makes sense, as a representation, but to look throughout my life and help me to reflect even more and see those areas that I need to grow into. And it's been so incredible to see. Like I've had many conversations with people and they say like this message is different. And like when Bella and I decided to run, I told her this. I said, if we run, we're not going to be running with a light message. We're going to be running with something deep, something that we want to convict believers and to challenge them in their walk with Christ. And so it has not only been challenging others, but to be honest, it's been challenging me in my own walk as well throughout this entire season.
Yeah. Could I piggyback off that real quick? So like as Jedi was saying, we don't want this message isn't just like to preach at people. This message is for ourselves too. And like I have also seen so much personal growth, like as I'm just like watching a show or as I am just helping out a stranger. Like it's this idea of like how am I representing Christ well right now? And like even just when we were doing our merch, like so I'm currently in the process of like Jedi and I are in the process of getting our merch done. And I was talking to the merch people about it, the people that were doing all of it. And they were asking, what's your message about? And that was an opportunity to witness to them. And so, like Jedi was saying, God will provide a way and he will show you how you can grow in certain areas. And he will show you that in your own life too. So it's just been really beautiful seeing how that message has impacted other people and also impacted ourselves.
Sorry. No, that's incredible. Like looking at it, I think that is one of the deeper messages coming out this year a lot. And I think there are so many instances in which, and I personally experienced this last year when I ran as well, in terms of looking at messages and wanting to run with a deeper message. And so to hear y'all prioritizing that and wanting to provide something that people can connect with, not necessarily at a surface level, but connect with on a deeper level, is I think extremely important and is extremely encouraging, especially as someone kind of watching from an eagle's eye view of what's going on at this election. Now, I do kind of want to shift gears and talk about more the election itself. Y'all recently announced that y'all are running in the Vision Party. Could y'all tell me what influenced y'all to decide to do that?
So I'll start with this question. So with there being so many different parties and just the different platforms, it's a big rigmarole trying to figure out what party you want to run in, name recognition, and trying to figure out strategically what would best support a campaign and help maybe our ticket make it out of primaries. And so Bella and I and our core team went back and forth on this for a long time, trying to figure out maybe the Perseverance Party or the Compassion Party. And we were talking about it a lot. And last year, Bella ran out of Perseverance and I ran out of Vision. And so there was a lot of talk and a lot of conversations and a lot of Zoom calls. We were leaving, or like, why can't we make a final decision? Like we didn't know what to do. And and in the end, we decided to run out of the Vision Party because in previous years they have a very solid debate aspect on the election and just very like focusing on the future. And so we thought we could use that in any different issue that they would bring up and whatever the crisis or the problem was. So this year's homelessness. So we ended up deciding Vision, and we thought that would be a good party that we'd be able to have a lot of name recognition and just hopefully have success in making it into the general elections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know, I don't have much to add to that. because Jedi covered pretty much all of the reasons that we decided to run a vision. But like vision, like what is something you're doing? Like what is the purpose of it if you don't have a vision for what you're doing? And so that was another deciding factor, is like what is vision, and also like their stance on the homelessness issue of providing housing first. We believe that that would be a really cool thing to debate off of. I personally agree with like all of the stances. I think they're all very cool, but we just liked the stance that they took on the issue.
No, absolutely. And, moving into that, you're in the last week of the election. We're about to see, I believe, the press releases released from each of the different candidates. And, with this issue for the year being on homelessness, would y'all be willing to share your unique approach to that issue under the Vision Party? Is that something you'd be willing to talk about?
Yes. So we're, with like press release and trying to strategize our debates and how we're going to represent the Vision Party well, but then reflect ourselves as candidates and trying to solve the issue at hand was very difficult at first. And so we brought together a team of not only writers, but people who have done debate over the years, and asked them for their wealth of knowledge to help us decide what were our reasons for supporting the housing first method of solving the crisis. And so in the end, we thought, when you think of the homeless crisis, technically the crisis is that people do not have homes and they don't have a way of housing. And so when you think about it logically, and it solves the crisis when you get housing to those without homes. And so for us, our standpoint and our position on it is there's many different ways, especially in different government agencies and organizations that are given too much funding, and they have told that even to the public. So one part of our press release, we're talking about how the FDA over the past few years has been getting an excessive budget, and they themselves have said they haven't spent so much of it. And so we've been thinking about maybe reusing funds, or maybe transferring them to different areas to support maybe the housing first method.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. And like, just to go a little bit more off of that, so there's so many homeless people within cities, because cities is where all the opportunity is. And there's not as much available housing in cities. So if we do provide housing for them, if we redirect those funds and make housing more available, then they will be able to first have their house, and then they will be able to get involved in other programs that will help get them back on their feet, and address the other issue of like why they were homeless, or anything that may be psychological, or just that like they need help just getting back to normal. So just providing that housing first, we feel would be very important, and just redirecting those funds.
Very nice. And, I'm very excited to see, these press releases come out where y'all get to detail your full opinions on this issue and kind of describe your creative solutions to this. Is one of my favorite parts of the election process. And I definitely know that a lot of people are going to be focusing in, because the issue of homelessness was part of the alumni track. It was something that's attracted a lot of attention this year, and we're very thrilled to see what ends up developing in that regard. Now, as we're winding down this interview, I did want to ask y'all kind of a specific question. You're one of two tickets where both of y'all won a national office last year, Jediah and Bella, and then of course Bruce Bigler and Emma Freeman. So I want to ask, how do each of y'all, with the experience you gained from last year running for national office, how does that kind of influence and benefit y'all moving into campaigning this year? And we can start with Bella.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I wasn't sure who was going first.
No, go ahead.
So I think, first off, last year when I was running, the whole campaigning process was all new to me. I'd never been a part of a campaign on a national level, and I'd never led my own campaign. And so like after, I didn't have to relearn that. Now going into this one, there are some different things. Obviously I'm not running by myself, I'm running with Jediah, and we have a team. And so it was nice though, knowing how the campaign process worked beforehand. And like now we kind of know what to expect at NatCon, which gives me a little bit more peace. Last year there's a lot of like stress and anxiousness going into the election process, but now that we have both experienced that, we can just have a little bit more peace and calm, knowing what to expect and just knowing that God has the outcome. But in my position as representative, it's just been really cool talking to other people who are running, because often other people that are running have like, they go up to the elected officials a lot of the time. They ask questions about campaigning and ways that we grew and message ideas and all this stuff. And it's been really cool to encourage others in that way, and to just show them, hey, like it is possible. Like I personally I was like, no way, I don't think I would ever get elected, like, but I'm just gonna try it. And the thing is, it is definitely possible for you to get elected. Is you just have to try hard, you just have to trust God and pray, and if it's his will, you'll be put there. So in my elected office, I feel a lot more peace in it, and it's been cool just encouraging others from it.
And then Jediah.
Yes. Looking back, as kind of like Bella did last year, and having the opportunity and just the privilege to run for representative, I learned so much and I grew in so many different areas. Going into national convention, the whole campaigning process was all new to me. It was foreign. And so it was like almost trying to learn a new language. Like they talk in like Teen Pact Poly 101, they explain the campaign process, and they're like, it's like a process and you start to learn it. And knowing that knowledge, but then putting it into practice or applying that to your life is crazy. And trying to open yourself up to new experiences was very rewarding. I saw God like work in my life and just the lives of others. And so, as I said earlier on, I love campaign process and getting to work with other people. And so going into this year, it has definitely been different, as now I've been an elected official. And so kind of having a better viewpoint on the elections process and knowing more about what we're doing, baits, strategy, and everything elections, it's been very helpful. And I've loved it so much. And as kind of Bella was saying, just having other people reach out to us, asking us for ideas, just for help. I've had so many close friends of mine ask me like, what do I do for a message video? Do I need social media or like group media? And like helping them understand the process and helping them alongside, walk alongside them has just been so rewarding and such a privilege. And going into like talking about our campaign, it's been new. Last year with running for representative, I was like, all right, if we run again, I know how to do this. And then I got into this campaign cycle, and I'm like, it's like baby steps all over again. It's like trying to learn to walk. And so Bella and I and our core team have been working so well, and our core team has just been such a firm building block, and they've been so supportive of everything we've done. And I can say this honestly, like Bella and I would not be here without them, just for all the support, all the many hours and all the time they spent just helping us, giving us encouraging words, the late night phone calls. It's been such a blessing, and I've learned so much, and I've loved it. I would not take back any of this time. It's been so rewarding.
It's incredible to hear, and we're very excited to see how this campaign continues to develop. Having that opportunity to mentor has certainly been probably an incredible opportunity for each of y'all to be able to help those who have come to you for advice, especially going through your experience last year. That's really lovely to see. Now, with this campaign coming to a close, I wanted to offer y'all an opportunity to quickly to share one last thing with the Team Pact student body. It could be about your campaign, about your message, whatever you'd like it, just as a ticket to share with the Team Pact student body and the viewers of this video. And I'll leave that up to y'all to decide.
Okay, I'll go first then. So I would just leave you guys with like, just as you're approaching elections and seeing all the candidates, there's a lot of amazing candidates out there. And there are so many amazing people that could represent you guys as the Team Pact Nation. But it's just important to remember, like, why are you voting for a candidate? And just really follow who God wants you to vote for. And just like have fun through this time. It's all a growing process. We're all learning. And another thing is, as you're approaching elections, look at all the messages. There's some really cool things that the Lord's been teaching people. And so as you're hearing these messages, don't just breeze through them. Don't just forget about them. Really assess them. Really assess your life and how you're applying these messages to your life. And let it be an encouragement and a challenge to you.
Jediah?
Ooh. I would encourage everyone who's watching this to just remember that it's not about us, it's about Christ. And so as we're going into national convention, I understand there's a lot of hype and excitement going into elections, and that all is well and good, but that shouldn't be our focus. Our focus, it is an election, but it should be on giving all glory to Christ. And so if you are running, I would encourage you to check your motives and to remember that even though you're doing this to get elected, to remember you're doing it for an audience of one. And if you're going to vote or just be involved in the elections process, to remember that don't put your thoughts and don't trust in people and like make them your idol. Just to remember that we're all fallen people and that we all put our shoes on the same way every day. But to remember that your voice means a difference and has such value. And so to make your vote, just be your own and don't feel like you have to follow the crowd. Just to be open to what God is calling you to do. And as Bella was saying, there's a lot of amazing messages, and just to pay attention to them and not the people, because the people are flawed at the end of the day, but God is perfect. I'm just giving all glory to him.
Wow, those are absolutely incredible things for the Team Peck Everybody to keep in mind, both for elected officials and voters. Well, y'all, it's been absolutely fantastic to have y'all on the Groundview. We look forward to seeing how the campaign continues to develop.
Thank you so much, Noah. It was
Thank
fun.
you.